Hey
What's
guys,
up, team?
What's up, team? Today we're here with Jaime Torres, but today we're gonna call him 44 JT. Where's that coming from?
So, pertaining to numbers on a race car, the 44, typically there's multiple cars out there with the same number. So, there's a female driver with 44, there's a couple people that have the same number. So, you typically want to differentiate your number. Jaime Torres, pretty self-explanatory. JT. 44 comes from my dad when he played sports in high school. He was always 44, so growing up myself, I was 44. I've been number 44 all through Little League, through high school football. So it was a no-brainer when it came to a race car number. 44, JT, 44, Jaime Torres.
So what sports did you play in high school?
So believe it or not, I have a set of golf clubs back there. My uncle took me out for my 12th birthday. He was an accountant at White Sands. So for my 12th birthday, we went out, played golf for the very first time. And ever since then, I kind of played a little bit of golf. In high school, I played football, and I tried to play golf, but with football, having multiple classes with weight training, things like that, it was super hard. We would have our last 2 periods of class for the day were weight training during the off season. So you lift weights, work out, and then you'd go try and swing a golf club. It didn't really work too great. So I kind of kept playing golf for fun. I played a couple golf tournaments in high school. It just wasn't working. My main focus was on football. I was
High school champions?
So we actually were high school champions in 2003. We
Nice.
beat the local rivalry Mayfield 17-14 my junior year. So I have a state ring inside.
Still wear that?
I haven't. My fingers have gotten a little bit bigger since high school.
Relive the glory days?
Yeah. So it's just in a jewelry box there on a dresser in my room, and so now we just play golf a little bit to mess around here and there.
And obviously you transitioned into racing.
We did, yes. So back in the high school days, a football buddy, he actually had a race car, had a stock car. A couple buddies, we would go out Saturday nights, go to the races, and of course, I always thought, what high school kid, wouldn't like to race, on a dirt track. And at that time, I have 3 other siblings. We all played sports. Growing up, we never had Nintendos or anything like that. We were always at somebody's game. Nobody, stayed home. My parents would take us to my brother's baseball game. We would horse around there, and so we were always out and about. So at that time, of course, I, playing sports and things, I wasn't going to ask my parents, hey, buy me a race car. I think I need a race car. And so, a few years down the road, when I had a decent job and thought I could afford it at the time, I said, let's try it. I had a buddy that the same buddy that I would go to the races with in high school is actually his uncle that went with me to go look at my first car that I bought. I bought it out of Alamogordo.
Nice.
So he went with me to go look at it, and we took a trailer, ended up buying it and coming home, and so that's when it all started. In 2014 was the first year that I tried the dirt track stuff.
So 2014, it's almost 10 years you've been doing it.
Almost 10 years.
Is the excitement still there? More exciting?
So over time, I've raced a stock car, X mod, and a modified. And there's challenges in every class. I just was kind of natural when I started. I started in 14. we'd had to build a new motor. So I think I raced maybe 8 races in 2014.
And what is this class that we're...
So this is modified.
Okay.
What's the difference?
So with X mod, modifieds, stock cars, I mean, there's different classes with different rules. For example, this is a X mod. So we have an engine rule, suspension rules, mufflers. So that's actually for the Speedway, one of their rules for the community.
Noise
they
ordinance.
agreed to run mufflers. But as far as like, there's max cubic inches, there's max size carburetors, just to, of course, keep the field level. But I've had this car since I believe 19.
How many wrecks has it been in?
So wrecks can happen pretty often. One night I won my heat race. I started, I think, second. I ended up running fourth on the night, and after the race, I think the second or third place finishing car spun out in front of the field. I slid up into the wall and bent the whole back end of it. So all the tubing had to be cut off and rebuilt. That's probably the worst wreck I've been in. You'll get in you'll bend some panels up here and there, but I mean they're pretty safe. All this body, it's built out of just flat aluminum sheets, like over there in the corner.
Yeah, the white one right here.
Mm-hmm. Yep, they're all just they start off as aluminum sheets. You bend them the way you want them, like that brake over there. You slide it in, bend it however you want, make your body panels. That's actually how I messed up my little finger here. I got it caught in that brake, just ripped the whole nail off. But yeah.
So this is more of a hobby, not just the racing part, but the preparation for the race, all that. It has to be, it's a huge investment, a huge hobby, amount of time you spend doing all this.
So that's exactly, exactly what it is a hobby. I spend a lot of time in the shop. And that's where I like to be. After work, on the weekends, I'm just not the type that's going to sit on the couch and, watch stuff. I come in the shop and I just tinker around, mess with stuff.
Yeah, get in that flow state, get something accomplished.
Yep. I keep my notes on my phone, like what needs to be done before the next race. It's been kind of nice. We've had a 3-week break from last race to this race. So it gives you, if you work in the shop 30 minutes, an hour a night, it gives you a little head start. I told myself that every race day, especially when it gets hot in the summer, you wait all week, you horse around, you go out and do stuff, and you don't work on your car. Then here comes Saturday. You're just prepping all day, getting loaded up, and by the time you're on your way to the racetrack, you're just dead tired. You don't even want to be out there, So I've kind of focused more on getting my stuff done during the week and leaving Saturday for just final prep and loading up, getting fuel loaded, things like that. And kind of being fresh when you get out to the racetrack to try and maximize performance.
Is there any form of stress relief for it in you when you get out there in a race and you've performed all the modifications or anything you need to do to your car? Do you ever get out there and maybe is it difference between how you perform if it's good or bad, but is there some form of stress relief, like you left it all out there, like that was a great week, you've got the race is over, it's a little bit of I don't know, just sometimes I guess I'm relating it to a physical activity. You might do outside work and you go get your workout and you kind of get those endorphins going and that stress relief. Does this provide any of that for you?
Well, it's definitely not a workout for me, as we can see, but it's with dirt track stuff, it's just so different. You don't ever race on the same surface. We can go out there Saturday. There's been rain in the forecast all week. So typically the racetrack prep guy, he'll see that. He'll pack the track real hard. That way if it does rain, the rain just kind of washes off, goes to the infield. So in the event that we don't get any rain, he hasn't been watering it all week. So that's kind of where the traction comes from on the racetrack, is the amount of moisture that's in it. So like last weekend, it was super windy all day. So that's going to take moisture out of the racetrack. So
there's like a sweet spot. It's got to be moist, but not too. It can't be drowned.
And that's kind of where your adjustments come in. Your tires, your stagger, setting the car up. That's kind of the strategy behind it all. Is you really don't know what you're gonna get until you see the racetrack. They start rolling it in. You see it coming in. So. If you want to make a few minor adjustments before you go out for the first time you touch a track, then you come back in and then the track's going to change. There's other classes racing on it. So that's the big thing is, kind of keeping an eye on what the track's doing throughout the night. And then that's what's going to allow you to make the adjustments on the car that's going to give you the most amount of traction to be, as fast as possible. That's kind of where like the preparation throughout the week goes. I mean, you want to get your ducks in a row. You want to get your things prepared. But at the end of the day, I mean, you can show up there on Saturday and the track's different than how it was the weeks before. So then you just have to kind of adjust and on the car. I mean, our springs, our shocks. There's a ton of things that you can change to add traction, take out traction. I mean, there's times if the track has too much you can have too much traction, and the car's not going to work very good.
So, what was your knowledge of cars in general coming into racing? Are you kind of learning as you go? Are you pretty knowledgeable coming in?
So, just the day-to-day. Average car stuff. I've always been a kind of a hands-on type of person. I've always taken care of my vehicles, things like that. But in the race car world, that's kind of out the door. That your basic knowledge of tools and things like that, I mean, is definitely helpful. But everything's just so different. It's not like your typical car or things like that. And that. Coming into it, I knew absolutely nothing. I mean, absolutely nothing. And that's the thing. I raced stock cars, so 14, 15, 16, 17. So that was one style of car. And then you go into these. So everything you've learned over the last few years, pretty much throw it out the door and start over with a different, class of car.
What made you switch class of cars?
I had won the track championship in 16 and 17. In 2016, that's when we still had the track in El Paso. So I would literally race Friday night in El Paso, come back home, wash the next morning, change gears, because El Paso was a bigger track. So you had to adjust the gear between El Paso and Las Cruces. And that's actually when I built my shop, is when we were racing both racetracks. On a 9-inch Ford rear end, you would have to pull the axles out, take the drive shaft out. There's a big old third member. You would have to unbolt that, pull it out, put a new third member in, put everything back together. So I was doing that twice a week.
Wow.
So since you have the shop here, so you come home, do your mods, and get on to the next race.
Come home, wash out front, put the car on the lift. Those third members, they're heavy. You just can't lift them up from the ground. So that's the whole reason I built the shop. Like we were talking about earlier, when the shop was built, I literally had the lift, one little rolling toolbox, and that was enough to get the job done then. And that year between both racetracks, we raced 54 races that season between March and October. I won the track championship at Southern New Mexico, and I finished third in the country. We actually went to the end of the year race in Kansas City, and raced the end of the year points race there.
How'd you do there?
We were kind of on a little bit different rule package. I mean, the best of the best were there. Let's just say it's a good learning experience. I didn't light up the scoreboard by any means.
You're learning.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, overall that year we ended up third in points in the country. So it was definitely a good learning experience.
We have any enemies out there Saturday we're looking out for? Anybody on the track that we need to keep an eye on?
We're
We're dead set on beating them. Any shit talkers? Anything like that?
I don't necessarily have any issues with anybody out there. I mean, there's a couple people that, so when they post the lineup, you see who you're starting next to, see who you're starting behind, and that's when you're like, oh, I got a squirrel up here, donkey down there. You kind of know how these people drive, so you kind of know what to expect.
It's part of your game plan.
That's part of just kind of knowing the competition out there. So you kind of, when you see that lineup, and it's all random, when you go up to check in, there's a random number generator. That's what draws your pill, which lines you up. It's all just random draw. So once you see that lineup, you kind of already have the wheels turning, kind of knowing, making a small game plan for what you want to do in the heat race.
Definitely want to review what our lineup is on Saturday.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's kind of, just knowing your competition, knowing who's out there, and our class has averaged the most amount of cars the whole entire season. So we've averaged 35 cars a night, and only 24 start the main event. So with that random draw, when you get into your heat races, it's based off of passing points. So to make it fair to everybody, if you're starting front row, you're starting fourth row, the way the passing points work is you can start fourth, you can pass 2 cars, finish second, so it'll count the cars you passed as points plus your finishing. So it kind of just makes it fair across the board. So you want to finish well, that way that'll get you into the main event for one, but get you a good starting position.
So if you don't do good in the heat race, you might not even be in the main.
Yeah, you definitely. So they have B mains, which is like a consolation race before the main event. So if I start 7th, it's just a hard track to pass on. I finish 5th, that might put me in a B main, and then I'll have to race into the main event from a B main.
We won't be recording that if that happens.
Yeah.
We only want winners here.
Yeah, we don't want to burn more gas than we need to.
Do you have any hopes for this Saturday or expectations?
We worked on the car last night till about 8:30. My buddy came over. We changed some things. I mean, the cars, I haven't finished outside of the top 10 all year. The car's just been getting better and better each night. So I'm really confident in this weekend, especially having a little extra pressure out there, it just makes you hungrier. I want to go out there and do well every weekend. But now that I'll have a couple extra fans in the stands, it puts a little bit more pressure, puts a little bit more fire to do well. Yeah. So, I mean, there's no reason why we can't go out there and win on Saturday.
We'll hold you to that.
Yeah.
This video might not be coming out.
Yeah.
Game first.
Game first, you last.
So, the car obviously has. Are they sponsorships? Do they give you money, or you just advertising for them? How's that? I've always wondered how that works.
So definitely, I do. There's a few sponsors on there. My brother, of course, Chala's restaurant Mesilla.
Cut to food. You talked about Chala's is your brother's place. Awesome food again. Gonna get distracted by food. How involved is the family in this whole operation?
So back when it started, I mean, my parents, they made, I don't think they missed a single race in the first couple years. Up to this day, my dad still takes the race schedule from the beginning of the year, and they plan whatever they need to plan around my race schedule. If they're going camping, if they're going out of town with my uncles, any of their friends, I mean, they'll literally plan their vacations or any of their events around the race schedule. So yeah, I mean, we've been going on, a few years, and the fire's kind of still there. Everybody's still involved that, started off in the beginning. My little nephew, my brother's oldest son, he used to go out to the racetrack with us, El Paso. Here, he's in a couple victory lane photos over there. But my brother definitely helps us out throughout the year. He sponsors my pit slabs out there. We have concrete slabs that we pay for every year.
Oh, okay.
He'll put some money on my account at the performance shop, and he's been helping me since day one. He's been on my car since the very beginning. My first car up there. Chala's is on the hood, so he's definitely been helping me since day one.
So walk me through what we're doing right now in this stage.
So we have the car on the lift. A buddy came over last night. We were kind of looking at some of the rear suspension. There's just a lot of parts. There's a lot of things that go into these cars. The engines. You want to make sure they're running good. Maintenance. I change the oil every 4 races on the engine and transmission. What's
the purpose behind that?
So you're just running high RPMs. The motors, they'll get about 220, 230 on a good night. You just want to keep the oil fresh, keep them lubed up, and same thing with the transmissions. The oil, the engine takes about 8 quarts of oil. The transmission's 1 quart, so it's not terrible. It's about $100 to change the oils between oil and filters. But I mean, as you can see, there's just a ton of things, and that's part of preparing for a race. I mean, you want to make sure all the bolts are tight, everything's lubed. That's one of the big things, like running for a championship. You try to minimize part failures. You try to minimize wrecks, things like that. It's it's finishing consistently, and to do that, I mean, your car has to be up to par, and a lot of that is comes in the shop. You don't want shocks or anything falling off in the middle of a race.
How is this the same engine you've been running with for a while? How often are you changing that out?
So this engine was brand new at the beginning of the year.
Okay.
So it has about 12 races total on it right now.
Okay. How many races do you think you'll get out of that?
So my engine builder's pretty, if the engine's happy. We take the valve covers off. We inspect the valves, rocker arms, things like that. Typically, if an engine's happy, you can get 25, 30 shows out of it before you start replacing valve springs, things like that. When you check the oil, you can check the, we have a little visitor.
Special guest.
Come here, dude. Come here. Gosh, my little puppy. This is dude.
dude?
Dude the Doodle.
What's up, dude?
We've had him for about 4 months. Is he 6 months old?
Yeah, on Monday.
He's 6 months on
big.
Monday. He's getting big.
It's big and fluffy.
So he goes out to the racetrack with us. Ever since we got him, we tote the RV out there, so he has a place to hang out during the races. We're kind of trying to weed him into getting familiar with all the noises, things like that. He's still, even just being out here in the shop, I have to be careful if I'm too loud. You know, noises will kind of
Does he try to eat everything?
spook him. He
you tell us
will
what noise you're
eat
talking about?
everything. What's that?
What noises you talking about?
What noises?
Yeah. I was talking about starting the car.
Starting the car. You drop a bolt.
Don't start the car.
Oh, you want me to start the car?
Didn't pick up on subtle hints.
So we keep this little guy over the carburetor so it doesn't get any dust or anything in it. We'll give it a little bit of gas. A little more gas.
Pretty loud.
Can't let them run too long or we'll get gassed out in here.
This will turn into a whole different show. All right, let's work our way down the side of the car. So the other day when I saw it, I just can't imagine how anybody gets their ass in this little hole.
Believe it or not, it happens. You just kind of got to get your right foot over. I stand on the edge of the seat, get my left foot in, and then just slide on down.
Yeah, no. Go ahead and walk me through how I get in there.
So what you want to do is the steering wheel's removable.
Okay.
It's kind of hard to get in the car with the steering wheel. So what we want to do is first pull that off. We'll just set that up here for later. You're gonna, typically at the racetrack, we're not gonna have the lift there. You have a little crutch, a little stool there for you to help.
Look at that assistance.
So what you want to do is put that left leg there.
Okay.
Go ahead and whip your right leg over.
Whip it.
Yeah, there ain't no whipping. Okay. Am I
Stand on that seat.
Get
Okay.
in.
Get that left leg over and in.
Is my butt sitting here?
Yeah, you'll just like slide in.
Gosh.
Hold the roll bar and just slide on in.
Woo! That was a lot more difficult than it should have been. I know that looked really graceful, right?
That was actually, I mean,
Yeah, you just need a steering wheel.
for
I'm
your
never gonna
first
come out of here.
time, that is actually very, very good.
I've been dreaming that my whole
Hey,
life.
before you get out, we have to get a picture of you in there.
Holy smokes. This is tight in here, huh? Oh man, that was a good meal. Are you ready for Saturday?
I wake up ready.
Hell yeah.
The whole family, your mom is Abby, Brady, Sienna, Kaylee. So, Javier, what has it been like these last 2 weeks being able to celebrate the
Time to go!
Jaime, so you so you just registered and you drew your pill?
Correct.
Okay, tell me about that.
So what they do is it's a random, the computer has like a random number generator, and you get a random draw, a number between 1 and 100. So that sets you up for your heat race. So the lower the number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you're gonna start front row.
Okay.
I drew a 19. So the way it works is you draw a pill, that's where you start, and to line up for the heat race, and then the heat race results where you pass cars plus your finishing position. So they call that passing points. So if I start 4th and win, then they'll give me points for the cars I pass plus where I finish. So 19 is actually pretty good. I should maybe start 2nd row, probably hopefully 3rd or 4th, and hopefully pass a couple cars, win it, finish 2nd. That'll set me up pretty good for the main event lineup.
Okay, so feeling good.
Good, yeah, that was a good number.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Hopefully we can hit that hole right there.
Green. We are off. Patty Rush making a jump. Patty Rush, the Hurricane, Josh Kane made his way in the front with Jaime Torres, the Tortugas Tornado. So we got the Hurricane and we got the Tornado in 1st and 2nd right now. This is awesome, Moto. Some of our top drivers in the B-Mod class here tonight. It's going to be fun to watch them here in the features later. 93, Greg Gorham is looking to see if he can make a move. Again, we got the 52 bumping around onto, the 15 car, Shannon Yates, fending off Patty Rush, who is having a little bit of contact back there. So again, 44 JT trying to slide up under Josh Kane. 44 JT executing the slide job. Nice and aggressive, held off that momentum there for Kane. Let's see if the Hurricane's going to return. 44 JT, Jaime Torres pulling away the Tortugas Tornado. Oh, let's see, some action there. Little bumping out of turn 4. Gorham hitting the inside door of the 33 JT, or of 30, excuse me, number 3, Josh Kane, the Hurricane, who had a little bit of action last week, and we all know who we all saw it. Let's keep him right side up tonight. So the Tortugas Tornado is pulling away. We got Josh Kane, followed by Greg Gorham, and he can make a slide in the right time. 3 laps to go at Vado Speedway Park. Track is slicking off, getting a little wet out there, seeing some rain falling. Calling it yellow. Not yet, excuse me. Yellow is out.
All right, Jaime, so we just did the heat race. Obviously, rained a little bit, huh? Well, tell me what you're thinking.
It was just crazy. I mean, I started third, and I got by the guy in front of me pretty quick. And then the guy that was leading it, I noticed he was kind of shoving a little bit, so I just was kind of waiting for my opportunity to go underneath him. And finally happened down here in turn 2, and I ran a couple good laps, felt good, and then all of a sudden the car was like wanting to skate to the right. I was like, shoot, something's not right, something's broken the right front, something's screwed up. And then a couple laps later I could start to see the raindrops on my shield, so I figured.
We noticed it right away in the stands. Got a little soaked.
That's awesome before it. Yeah, so we're down there like kind of. And man, you really get more of a feel of how the speed of really what's going on. Yeah. It looks fast from up here, but when you're in the middle, it's real
I'm
fast.
sure, yeah, I'm sure it's crazy.
Totally fast.
We'll definitely come back.
We hope you've enjoyed the episode as much as we have. Be sure to like, share, and or subscribe. We will see you next time on #QualityNoExceptions. Brought to you by French Brothers Homes.